Hello, I am Sam the Statman, coming to you with another video. Today I'm going to be ranking every player from the 1936 Hall of Fame class from worst to best. And before I start this video, I just like to say two things. One, I'd like to give a special sort of shout out to Cy Young. He wasn't elected in the first Hall of Fame class because there was this thing where old timers, I think it was players who played in the 1800s maybe, would be elected on a different ballot, and maybe players who play from 1900 on would be elected in the this ballot that the 1936 that all of these players on this list were elected in. Maybe Mathewson would have been elected, or Young would have been elected on a different ballot. But the thing with Cy Young was he played in the 1800s and 1900s, so a lot of voters didn't really know does he qualify as an old timer? Does he qualify to be on this ballot? So he didn't get enough votes to be elected because a lot of voters thought, he did get some votes, but a lot of voters thought he doesn't qualify to be on this ballot, and some people thought he did. I just like to give him a shout out because he definitely deserves to have been elected in the inaugural Hall of Fame class. And the second thing I'd like to say is that none of these players are bad. They're all fantastic. They all deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. And when I say worst to best, worst would probably be number one or number two on any other list of great players. When you're comparing them to other players, they're a lot better than most players. But you have to say one of these players is the worst and one of them is the best. But all of these players are just absolutely fantastic. And so, without further ado, let's get into it. Number 5, in my opinion, the worst player from the inaugural Hall of Fame class is Christy Mathewson. He was great, but he is the worst on this list, unfortunately. In his career, he went 373 and 188 with a 2.13 ERA and a 136 ERA+. In 4,788.2 innings pitched, he struck out 2,507 batters, had a 1.058 whip, and he had 106 WAR. In his career, he won 2 Triple Crowns and 5 ERA titles. He is a fantastic player, and it's hard to say he could be the worst on any list, but when you're comparing him to these players, he is the worst. But that's nothing against him. He's still an all-time legend and definitely deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Number 4 is Honus Wagner. Honus Wagner was fantastic. In his career, he batted .328, .391, .467 with a 151 OPS+. He had 3,420 hits, 101 homers. He had good defense and 130.8 WAR. He won 8 batting titles in his career. However, he never won an MVP despite leading in WAR twice. But hey, that's just what's going to happen. He's pretty comfortably the greatest shortstop of all time, and he's probably a top 10 player and definitely deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Number 3 is Ty Cobb. Ty Cobb is so famous and so good. In his career, he batted .366, .433, .512 with a 168 OPS+. He had 4,189 hits, 117 homers. He stole 897 bases. Oh, I forgot to mention that Honus Wagner was also really fast, and he did steal a lot of bases. I forgot the exact number. I think it was in the 700s or 800s, but I forgot to mention that when I was talking about Honus Wagner. Let's get back to Ty Cobb now. He had 897 stolen bases, 151 WAR. He won an MVP, 12 batting titles, and a Triple Crown. He is so famous. There's a lot of stories about him being a bad person. And maybe that was true, but none of that can take away from his incredible playing ability. Number 2 is Walter Johnson. He's probably the greatest pitcher of all time, in my opinion. In his career, he went 417 and 279 with a 2.17 ERA and a 147 ERA+. In 5,914.1 innings pitched, he struck out 3,509 batters. I'm pretty sure he was the first pitcher to ever strike out 3,000 batters. I think. He had a 1.061 whip and 164.5 WAR. In his career, he won 2 MVPs, 3 Triple Crowns, and 5 ERA titles. What else can I say about the big train? Walter Johnson is an absolute legend. However, he's not number 1 on this list. Number 1 is Babe Ruth. Who else could I put as number 1? Is Babe Ruth the greatest player from the inaugural Hall of Fame class? Yes. Is he the greatest player of all time? In my opinion, also, yes. Babe Ruth was so good. In his career, he batted .342, .474, .690 with a .206 OPS plus, which is the all-time record. He had 2,873 hits, 714 homers, which is the record for a very long time. He was a good pitcher, but I'm not really going to talk about his pitching stats for that long, because the reason he's in the Hall of Fame is because he was a great hitter, not because of his pitching ability. Not to say his pitching ability was bad, but he's remembered mostly for his hitting. And he had 182.5 WAR, the all-time record. In his career, he won an MVP award. He's a two-time All-Star, won a batting title, won an ERA title as a pitcher, which is crazy. Like, he might be the only player to have won a batting title and an ERA title. I'm not sure, but I think. And yeah, I mean, he's the most iconic player of all time. He's the greatest player of all time, in my opinion. He's also the greatest player from the inaugural Hall of Fame class. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!